July 5, 1943, the Kursk salient, Soviet Union. The air tastes like burning oil and scorched earth. 23-year-old Ivan Pavlovich Sereda lies motionless in a shallow crater, his face pressed against dirt mixed with the blood of his gun crew. His anti-tank rifle, a PTRD-41, 14 pounds of Soviet steel, rests beneath him. Around him, the bodies of 7 men. Men he'd shared black bread with that morning. Men who'd been alive 6 minutes ago. 300 yards away, 11 German Panzer IV tanks roll across the wheat fields of the Voronezh front. Each tank weighs 25 tons. Each carries a crew of 5. Each is equipped with a 75mm cannon that can punch through concrete walls. Behind these 11 tanks, 200 infantry soldiers advance in formation, their rifles glinting in the afternoon sun that breaks through the smoke. Ivan doesn't move. He can't. Because the moment he does, the moment those tank commanders see movement, they'll swing their machine guns toward him and end what they started when they overran his position. But here's what those German tank crews don't know. Ivan Sereda isn't dead, and in the next 3 hours, this 23-year-old former hunter from a village no one's heard of is going to do something that will make German commanders question every tactical manual they've ever read. He's going to destroy all 11 of those tanks, by himself, without moving from this crater. The German offensive at Kursk has been underway for 4 hours. Operation Citadel, they call it. The largest tank battle in human history. 900,000 German soldiers, 2,700,000 Soviet defenders, 6,000 tanks between both sides. The Germans need to break through here, to encircle the Soviet forces, to regain the initiative they lost at Stalingrad. Field Marshal von Manstein has told his tank commanders that this battle will decide the Eastern Front. That failure is not an option. And right now, at this specific point in the line, 11 tanks under the command of Hauptmann Friedrich Weber are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They've eliminated the Soviet anti-tank position. They've cleared the field. They're advancing toward the village of Poniri, where 3,000 Soviet soldiers are dug in, waiting. If these 11 tanks reach Poniri, with their infantry support intact, the Soviet defensive line breaks. If the line breaks here, the entire salient collapses. If the salient collapses, 200,000 Soviet soldiers get encircled, annihilated. Ivan knows this. Every soldier on this front knows this. That's why his battery commander, Senior Lieutenant Volkov, had positioned 8 anti-tank rifles in a line across this field 3 days ago. That's why Volkov had told them, "You hold this field, or everyone behind us dies." 7 of those 8 rifles are now silent. 7 crews dead. Ivan is the 8th. And he's not dead yet. Let me take you back 3 hours. To when this started, because understanding how Ivan ends up in this crater, playing dead while German tanks roll past him, that's where this story really begins. 800 hours. The German artillery barrage begins. Ivan's position is a shallow trench, reinforced with logs and sandbags, 200 yards from the main defensive line. He's positioned here with his loader, a 19-year-old kid from Moscow named Dmitri. Dmitri's hands shake every time he loads the massive 14.5mm rounds into the PTRD. Not from fear, Ivan's noted, but from excitement. The kid actually wants to see combat. Ivan, who's hunted wolves and bears in the forest near Bryansk since he was 12, knows better. He's seen what bullets do to flesh. He knows what happens when you misjudge your prey. The artillery lasts 90 minutes. The ground shakes. The sandbags burst. Dirt rains down into their trench. Dmitri stops shaking. He just goes quiet, pressing his back against the trench wall, his eyes closed. Ivan counts the explosions. Old habit from hunting. Know your environment. Count the wolves. Track the pattern. 347 shells land within earshot. Then silence. Ivan peers over the trench lip. Across the wheat field, which is now burning in patches, black smoke rising in columns, he sees them. The tanks. First 3, then 5. Then he counts 11, Panzer IVs, the newest model, the AOSFG variant. He knows this because Soviet intelligence has briefed them. These tanks have 50mm frontal armor. The PTRD can penetrate 40mm at 100 meters, which means Ivan needs close shots, which means he needs to let them get close. Dmitri, Ivan says, load. Dmitri's hands don't shake now. He slides the 14.5mm armor-piercing round into the chamber. The bolt clicks forward. Ivan settles the rifle's stock against his shoulder. The PTRD is a beast of a weapon. 6 feet long, nearly 15 pounds. The recoil, Ivan knows from training, feels like getting kicked by a horse. He's fired it exactly 7 times. Soviet production can't spare ammunition for practice. The other 7 anti-tank positions open fire first. The crack of PTRD rifles echoes across the field. Ivan watches. The first shots hit Panzer turrets. Sparks. Ricochets. No penetration. The angle's wrong. The second volley targets treads. One tank lurches to a halt. Its left tread severed. Good. Mobility kill. But 10 tanks keep coming. Then the German tanks respond. And this is where everything changes. The Panzer IVs don't stop to aim carefully. They don't need to. They've identified the anti-tank positions by their muzzle flashes. Each tank swivels its turret. The 75mm cannons fire almost simultaneously. High explosive rounds. Not aimed at the rifles. Aimed at the trenches. Position 3 disappears in a fireball. Position 5, same thing. Position 1 takes a direct hit. Ivan watches 2 men fly through the air, their bodies ragdoll limp. Position 7 tries to relocate. The German machine guns catch them. The MG-34s fire at 1,200 rounds per minute. Ivan sees the gunner's body jerk 7 times before he falls. 4 positions eliminated in 90 seconds. Fire! Lieutenant Volkov's voice screams from somewhere behind them. Ivan doesn't fire. Because he's noticed something. The tanks are advancing in a staggered formation. 3 in front, 4 in the middle, 4 in back. The front 3 are drawing fire. The middle 4 are doing the killing. The back 4 haven't fired yet. They're reserves. This is a hunting tactic. Same thing wolf packs do. Flush the prey. Kill them while they're distracted. Hold reserves in case something goes wrong. Ivan waits. Dmitri hisses. Why aren't we firing? Wrong angle, Ivan says. Wait. Position 2 fires. Hits the front armor of the lead tank. The round sparks off. No penetration. The tank doesn't even slow down. It fires back. Position 2 goes silent. Now 6 positions are gone. Only Ivan's position and position 4 remain. Position 4 is 300 yards to his left. He can see the gunner there, a man named Petrov. Good soldier. Steady hands. Petrov fires. His round hits the side armor of a middle tank at an angle. Penetration. Black smoke pours from the tank's engine compartment. The crew bails out. 1 down. But now all 10 remaining tanks know where position 4 is. 3 tanks turn their turrets. They fire together. The explosion throws Petrov's body 30 feet into the air. 7 positions eliminated. 1 tank destroyed. 10 tanks still advancing. And they're 200 yards away now. Close enough that Ivan can see the tank commanders standing in their turret hatches, binoculars pressed to their faces, scanning for the last anti-tank position. Scanning for Ivan. Load, Ivan says. Already loaded, Dmitri says. His voice is different now. Older. Fear does that. Ivan aims at the lead tank. Not the front armor, not the turret. He aims low, at the junction where the turret meets the hull. 60-degree angle. The weak point. He learned this hunting. Bears have thick fur, thick skin. But where the leg meets the body, that's where you aim. That's where the knife goes in. He squeezes the trigger. The PTRD roars. The recoil slams into his shoulder. But Ivan's ready for it. He's been kicked by animals bigger than this rifle. The round hits exactly where he aimed. It punches through the turret ring. The tank lurches, stops. Black smoke. The hatch opens. Men scramble out. 2 down. But Ivan's made a mistake. He's revealed his position. And 9 tanks now know exactly where he is. Hey, quick pause here. You know what's interesting about moments like this, when you're facing something that seems impossible, when you've got 9 tanks about to turn you into a memory? It's the same feeling I get when I'm trying to track down historical sources for videos like this. Because finding reliable information about battles like Kursk, about individual soldiers like even Sereda, it's incredibly difficult. Most records were lost, destroyed, or never properly documented in the first place. That's why I use Masterworks. Now, I know what you're thinking. What does art investing have to do with World War II history? Bear with me. Masterworks gives you access to something that seems impossible for regular people, investing in multi-million-dollar artworks by people like Banksy, Basquiat, and Picasso. Just like Ivan's about to do something that seems impossible, Masterworks makes the impossible accessible. While I'm spending hours in archives and databases to bring you these stories, my money's actually working for me through contemporary art, which has outpaced the S&P 500 by 131% over the last 26 years. They've already delivered 17 exits to investors, with returns like 17.8%, 21.5%, even 35%. You can skip their waitlist by going to masterworks.art/WW2 or clicking the link in the description. Now, back to the video. 9 tanks turn toward Ivan's position. He doesn't have time to reload. Dmitri does that, his hands moving on muscle memory now, fear pushed aside by the mechanical necessity of staying alive. 3 seconds to eject the spent casing. 2 seconds to load the new round. 1 second to chamber it. 6 seconds total. In those 6 seconds, 9 tanks aim at their trench. Ivan can see the barrel of the closest tank, a Panzer IV at 150 yards, swivel toward him. He can see the gunner's face through the sight port, young, blonde, focused. "Down!" Ivan screams. He and Dmitri drop to the trench floor. The world explodes. The first round hits 5 feet to their right. The concussion wave lifts Ivan off the ground, slams him against the trench wall. His ears ring. He can't hear. Dmitri's mouth is moving, screaming something, but there's no sound. Just ringing. The second round hits directly in front of their trench. The sandbags disintegrate, the logs shatter. Dirt and debris rain down. Something hot grazes Ivan's cheek. He touches it. Blood. Not deep, but bleeding. The third round hits behind them. The blast wave pushes them forward, toward the lip of the trench. Ivan grabs the PTRD. Dmitri grabs his arm. They crawl. The trench is collapsing. The walls are caving in. They need to get out. They need to relocate. They scramble out of the trench, keeping low, running in a crouch toward a shell crater 15 yards away. The Germans see them. The machine guns open up. The MG-34s chew up the ground around them. Dmitri runs beside Ivan. They're 5 yards from the crater. 4 yards. 3 yards. Dmitri's chest explodes. He doesn't scream. He just stops running and falls forward, dead before he hits the ground. Ivan dives into the crater, lands hard. The PTRD lands beside him. He grabs it, checks it. Not damaged. Still loaded. 1 round in the chamber. He peers over the crater lip. The tanks are 70 yards away now. All 9 of them. Behind them, 200 German infantry are advancing in a line. In 30 seconds, they'll reach his crater. They'll see him. They'll kill him. Ivan has 1 round. 9 tanks. 200 soldiers. 30 seconds. He doesn't fire. Because he's remembered something his father told him when he was teaching him to hunt. When the pack surrounds you, you don't fight. You disappear. You become part of the forest. You wait. And when they think you're gone, that's when you hunt. Ivan slides down into the crater. He lies flat. He grabs Dmitri's body and pulls it on top of him. The body is heavy, still warm. Blood soaks into Ivan's uniform. He arranges the body carefully, making sure it looks natural, making sure it looks like they both died in the open, cut down while running. He positions the PTRD beneath both of them, hidden from view. Then he goes completely still. Face in the dirt, eyes closed, breathing shallow, playing dead. The tanks roll past. He feels the ground shake, hears the metallic squeal of treads, hears German voices shouting orders, hears boots hitting the ground as infantry soldiers jump over his crater. One soldier stops, even hears him breathing heavy from the advance, hears him say something in German. Another soldier responds. They're 3 feet away, looking down at the crater, looking at 2 dead Soviet soldiers. Then they move on. The boots fade. The voices fade. The tanks keep rolling toward Poniri. Ivan waits. 3 minutes. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. He doesn't move. Because he knows something these Germans don't. He knows that tank formations always leave rear security. Always leave someone watching their back. 15 minutes. The sounds of battle drift from Poniri. Explosions. Machine gun fire. The Germans have engaged the main defensive line, but Ivan still doesn't move. 20 minutes. His face is numb from the dirt. Dmitri's body is getting cold. The blood on Ivan's uniform is drying, sticky. His muscles scream from staying motionless. He ignores them. 25 minutes. A German motorcycle passes near his crater. 2 soldiers on it, heading back toward their lines. Probably couriers. They don't stop. Don't look. 30 minutes. Silence now except for distant battle sounds. Ivan takes a chance. He opens his eyes, doesn't move his head, just opens his eyes and looks at what's in front of him. Dirt. Grass. A spent shell casing from someone's rifle. And beyond that, 200 yards away, the rear of a German Panzer IV tank. It's stationary, hull-down position behind a small rise, covering the advance. Rear guard, just like Ivan expected. He's behind enemy lines now. The German tanks have passed him. The infantry has passed him. He's in the gap between their assault force and their support elements. And from here, lying in this crater with a dead man on top of him and an anti-tank rifle beneath him, he has something no Soviet soldier has had all day. He has surprise. And he has time. 3 hours of it, it turns out. Because Ivan Sereda isn't going to run back to Soviet lines. He isn't going to try to save himself. He's going to do what he was trained to do, what his battery commander ordered him to do. He's going to kill tanks. All of them, starting with the rear guard that's 200 yards in front of him. But first, he needs to wait for the right moment. And Ivan, the hunter from Bryansk who once tracked a wolf pack for 6 days through winter snow, who once waited in a tree stand for 14 hours to get a clear shot at a bear, Ivan knows how to wait. He counts his heartbeats, slows his breathing, becomes part of the earth. Dmitri's body above him is camouflage. The blood on his uniform is camouflage. The crater is his hide. And the Germans who've already passed him, who've already cleared this field, who've already decided this area is secure, they won't look back. Predators never do. They only look forward, toward prey, never behind them. That's their first mistake. 45 minutes after the tanks passed him, Ivan hears something. Not from ahead, from behind, from the direction of German lines. He can't turn his head to look, can't give away that he's alive. But he listens. Vehicle engines, smaller than tanks. Probably SDKFZ 251 half-tracks. Support vehicles bringing ammunition and supplies to the assault force. They pass within 100 yards of his crater. 6 of them in a convoy. They don't stop. 1 hour. The sun is higher now, hotter. The blood on Ivan's uniform is starting to smell. Flies are gathering, landing on Dmitri's body, landing on Ivan's face. He doesn't flinch, doesn't brush them away. Dead men don't swat at flies. 1 hour and 15 minutes. More activity from the German rear. Voices. He hears officers shouting orders. Hears the clink of equipment. Another supply convoy passes. This one stops 200 yards to his left. Soldiers get out. Start setting up what sounds like a mortar position. They're settling in. Establishing supporting fire positions. This means the assault on Poniri is bogging down. The Germans are meeting heavier resistance than expected. Good. 1 hour and 30 minutes. The rear guard tank is still there, hull down, watching the field. Ivan can see part of its turret. Can see the commander's hatch is open. Can see one soldier sitting on the turret, smoking a cigarette. Relaxed. Comfortable. They've been in this position for 90 minutes without incident. They think they're safe. That's their second mistake. Ivan begins to move. Not quickly. Incrementally. He shifts his right hand, the one trapped beneath Dmitri's body. Moves it 1 inch. Waits 5 minutes. Moves it another inch. Waits. The movement is so slow, so gradual, that even if someone were watching directly, they wouldn't notice. This is what he did hunting bears. You don't just wait in your hide. You adjust. You position yourself for the shot. But you do it so slowly that the forest doesn't notice. The wind doesn't notice. The prey doesn't notice. 30 minutes of infinitesimal movement. His right hand now grips the PTRD's stock. His left hand finds the trigger guard. The rifle is still beneath him, beneath Dmitri. Invisible from any angle. He can't see the sights. Can't properly aim. But Ivan grew up shooting in conditions like this. Shooting from blinds. Shooting from concealment. He knows this rifle. Knows its length. Knows where the barrel is pointing based on where his hands are. 2 hours and 15 minutes. The German soldier on the tank turret finishes his cigarette. Flicks it away. Climbs back into the tank. The hatch closes. This changes things. Closed hatch means the crew feels safe. Means they're not expecting threats. But it also means they're buttoned up. Harder to escape if something goes wrong. Ivan waits another 30 minutes, not for courage, for opportunity. Because shooting the rearguard tank will alert every German in the area. He'll get 1 shot before they know he's alive, maybe 2 if he's fast. Then they'll find him, then he dies. So he needs to make those shots count, needs to make sure the tactical situation gives him maximum advantage. 2 hours and 47 minutes. He hears it. Artillery. Soviet artillery. The distant thump of 76mm guns. The rounds are landing near Poniri. Counter-battery fire. Soviet forces are pushing back. And that artillery means something crucial. It means radio communications between German forward units and their rear elements are about to get disrupted. It means noise. It means distraction. It means confusion. It means now. Ivan doesn't rush. 1 more minute. He waits for the next artillery salvo to land. Hears the distant crump of explosions. Then, using that sound as cover, he slides out from under Dmitri's body. The movement takes 10 seconds. He keeps the PTRD beneath him, stabilizing it with his body. He gets into a prone shooting position. The crater rim gives him a natural rest. He slowly raises his head. Inches the rifle barrel up. The rearguard tank is 210 yards away. Quartering angle, rear armor facing him. The weakest point of any tank. The PTRD can penetrate rear armor at this range. But Ivan still needs to aim for specific points. The engine compartment, where the grille covers the radiator, where fire turns into catastrophic ammunition explosion. He looks down the sight. The tank fills his view. He can see the rain guard above the engine deck, can see the exhaust pipes, can see the exact point where he needs to hit. He exhales, squeezes the trigger. The PTRD roars. The recoil is massive, but Ivan's braced for it. The rifle barrel lifts, but his eyes stay on target long enough to see the hit. The round punches through the engine grille. Sparks, then black smoke, then fire. The tank crew feels it immediately. The hatch flies open. 2 men climb out, fast, panicked. They've trained for this. Engine fire means seconds before the fuel tanks go. They jump off the tank, hit the ground running. The fuel tanks go. The explosion is smaller than Ivan expected. The tank doesn't leap into the air like in propaganda films. It just shudders. Fire pours from the engine compartment. The ammunition inside starts cooking off. Pop, pop, pop. Small detonations. The tank is dead. 3 tanks destroyed now, 8 remaining. But those 8 tanks are in Poniri, 300 yards ahead, fighting the main Soviet line. They didn't hear Ivan's shot over the sound of their own battle. They don't know their rear guard is gone. Ivan slides back into the crater, pulls Dmitri's body back over himself, plays dead again. Because the 2 German crewmen who escaped the tank are running toward the mortar position to his left, shouting. Officers are shouting back. Within 60 seconds, a squad of German infantry is running toward the burning tank, scanning the area, looking for the shooter. They pass Ivan's crater. 1 soldier stops, looks down. Ivan's face is in the dirt, eyes closed, not breathing. The soldier moves on. The Germans search for 20 minutes. They find nothing. No muzzle flash position, no footprints, no indication where the shot came from. Finally, they conclude it was Soviet anti-tank fire from Poniri. Long-range shot. Lucky hit. They mark the tank as destroyed, pull the wounded crewmen back and return to their positions. Ivan is patient. He waits another 45 minutes. Lets them relax again. Lets them think the excitement is over. Then he looks for his next target. 3 hours and 50 minutes since the German assault began. The sun is past its zenith now, starting to descend. The battle at Poniri has intensified. Ivan can hear heavy machine gun fire, can hear the sharp crack of tank cannons. The Germans are committed now. All 8 remaining tanks are engaged in the village assault, which means they're stationary, which means they're targets. But they're 300 yards away, behind terrain, mixed with buildings and Soviet defensive positions. Ivan can't see them from his crater, can't get a shot. He needs to move, needs to get closer. And doing that means crossing 200 yards of open ground that German infantry has already secured. He waits for another Soviet artillery salvo. When it comes, when the shells start landing near Poniri, when every German soldier is instinctively ducking or looking toward the explosions, Ivan moves. He leaves Dmitri's body, leaves the crater, crawls on his belly through the wheat stubble, pulling the PTRD alongside him. 20 yards. 30 yards. He reaches another shell crater, slides in, goes still. No shouts, no shots. No one saw him. 5 minutes of stillness. Then he moves again. Another 30 yards. Another crater. This one has a dead German soldier in it, killed by the earlier Soviet artillery. Ivan positions himself next to the body. Uses it as additional camouflage. The smell is horrific. The man's been dead for hours, bloating in the heat. Ivan breathes through his mouth, focuses on the task. From this new position, he can see Poniri, can see the eastern edge of the village, and there, 200 yards away, he can see 2 Panzer IV tanks. They're hull down behind a collapsed barn, firing into the village. They're facing away from him, perfect rear shots. He aims at the closer tank, waits for it to fire, so the sound of his shot will blend with theirs. The tank fires. Ivan fires 1 second later. His round hits the rear armor. Penetrates. The tank lurches. Smoke immediately. The crew bails out, all 5 men tumbling from hatches. The tank burns. 4 down, 7 remaining. But this time, someone notices. The second tank's commander, watching his companion tank burn from an impossible angle, understands immediately. Threat from the rear. He doesn't know where Ivan is exactly, but he knows the general direction. The tank's turret begins to traverse. Slowly, searching. Ivan has no time to reload. He slides out of the crater, crawls 40 yards to his right, finds another depression in the ground. A minute later, the second tank fires 3 rounds into the area where Ivan was. The explosions throw dirt and shrapnel into the air. One piece of metal, the size of a finger, slices across Ivan's calf. Pain, blood, not deep. He ignores it. He reloads the PTRD. This takes 12 seconds when you're alone. No loader. Dmitri is 300 yards away, cold in a crater. Ivan's hands don't shake. Hunter's hands. Steady. The second tank is repositioning now, backing away from its exposed position, trying to find cover. But in backing up, it exposes its side armor to Ivan. 40-degree angle. 215 yards. Ivan leads the target slightly. Fires. The round hits the side, punches through between the road wheels and the hull. Catastrophic penetration. The tank stops. The engine dies. Crew bails out again, but this time one man doesn't make it. The ammunition cooks off while he's halfway out the hatch. The explosion catches him. He falls back inside. 5 down, 6 remaining. And now the German commanders in Poniri understand what's happening. Someone with an anti-tank rifle is behind them, in an area they thought was secure, systematically destroying their armor. They're hearing the shots now. They're seeing the smoke from the burning tanks. They're watching their assault capability evaporate. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, the officer commanding these 11 tanks, orders 3 tanks to disengage from the village assault and hunt the shooter. This is a command decision he'll regret. Because it means splitting his force. It means taking pressure off the Soviet defenders in Poniri. And it means sending tanks to hunt a target they can't see in terrain that favors the defender. Ivan watches 3 Panzer IVs pull back from the village and spread out in a search pattern. They're 200 yards away, moving slowly, methodically, scanning for muzzle flashes, watching for movement. They've learned. They're not rushing. They're hunting him the way he hunted them. Fair enough, Ivan thinks. Let's see who's better. 4 hours and 20 minutes into the battle. The sun is lower now, casting longer shadows. The smoke from 5 burning tanks drifts across the field. Ivan is in a shallow depression between 2 larger craters. He's covered himself with loose dirt and grass. The PTRD is beside him, also covered. Only the barrel tip is exposed, and even that's wrapped with grass. He's not visible from 10 yards away. These German tanks are trying to find him from 200. The 3 Panzers move in a line. They're smart about it, covering each other. One moves while 2 watch, then they rotate. It's good tactics. Against a normal anti-tank gun position, it would work. But Ivan isn't a position. He's a single man. He can't be suppressed. He can't be pinned down. He can move after every shot, can disappear, can reappear somewhere else. He watches the leftmost tank advance. It's coming closer, 180 yards, 170. It stops. The commander rises in his turret, binoculars up, scanning. Ivan can see his face. Older than the others, probably 35, experienced, careful. The man's binoculars sweep across the field, pass over Ivan's position without stopping. Pass back. Stop. Come back slowly. He sees something. Not Ivan exactly, but something wrong. Something that doesn't look natural. The tank commander keeps his binoculars fixed on the spot, raises his arm, signals to the other 2 tanks. They begin to traverse their turrets towards Ivan's position. Ivan doesn't wait for them to fire first. He throws off his camouflage, rises to a kneeling position, aims. The tank commander sees him now. His eyes go wide. He drops into his hatch. Too late. Ivan fires. The round hits the turret ring. Penetrates. The tank's ammunition explodes instantly. The turret lifts 3 feet into the air, flips, lands upside down. No one gets out. 6 down. 5 remaining. The other 2 tanks fire immediately, but Ivan's already moving. He runs in a crouch toward a burned-out Soviet truck 60 yards away. The shells explode behind him. He reaches the truck, dives behind it, reloads. 12 seconds. His hands are steady. His breathing is steady. This is just hunting, just predator and prey. The roles keep switching, but the principle is the same. One of the 2 remaining search tanks advances toward the truck. Aggressive, angry. The commander wants revenge. This is a mistake. Emotion in combat is a mistake. Ivan learned this the first time he wounded a bear and it charged him. His father had grabbed his arm and hissed, "Stay calm. Calm kills." Fear misses. Ivan stays calm. He waits until the tank is 80 yards away, close enough that he can see the individual tools strapped to the hull. The shovel, the spare track links, the jerry cans. Then he stands up from behind the truck. Full exposure. The tank commander sees him. The turret starts to traverse. Too slow. Ivan fires. Engine hit. Clean penetration. Fire. Crew bails. The commander is the last out, climbing from his hatch with his uniform already smoking. 7 down. 4 remaining. The last search tank retreats. Fast. Backs away toward the village. The commander has made the intelligent choice. Even is too dangerous, too unpredictable. Better to regroup with the remaining tanks in Paniri, consolidate the position, and let infantry handle this threat. But Ivan's not letting him go. He sprints from the truck toward the advancing Soviet artillery fire, uses the explosions as cover, reaches a position 150 yards from the retreating tank. The tank is moving at 15 kilometers per hour, not fast enough. Ivan leads it, fires. The round hits the rear of the turret. Doesn't fully penetrate, but it damages the turret ring. The turret stops traversing. Jammed. The tank is now a mobile pillbox, unable to turn its main gun. The crew realizes this. They abandon it. All 5 men run toward Paniri. 8 down, 3 remaining. The last 3 Panzer IVs are in the village now, clustered together, surrounded by German infantry. They're in a defensive posture. They've stopped their assault. Hauptmann Weber has made the decision to consolidate and hold rather than continue pushing forward. Ivan Sereda, 1 man with 1 rifle, has halted an entire tank assault. But Ivan's not done. Because his orders were clear. You hold this field, or everyone behind us dies. Holding the field means no German tanks pass through, and 3 tanks are still operational. 4 hours and 48 minutes. The Soviet defenders in Paniri, seeing the German assault stall, seeing 8 tanks burning in the fields behind the village, launch a counterattack. 2 companies of infantry, supported by T-34 tanks, push out from their positions. The Germans are caught mid-reorganization. The firefight intensifies. Chaos in the village streets. Close quarters combat. And in that chaos, the 3 remaining Panzer IVs try to reposition, try to support their infantry. 1 tank moves down a village street, heading toward the sound of Soviet machine guns. It passes an alley. Ivan is in that alley. He's infiltrated into the village during the confusion. He's 30 yards from the tank. This close, he can hear the crew talking inside. Can hear the commander shouting directions. Can hear the loader confirming ammunition selection. He steps out of the alley. The tank's rear deck is right there, 10 yards away. He can see the exhaust manifold. Can see the engine access panels. He raises the PTRD. The tank commander, head out of the turret, watching for Soviet infantry ahead, doesn't see Ivan behind him. Ivan fires. This close, the round goes completely through the rear armor, through the engine, through the firewall, into the crew compartment. The tank stops instantly. Something critical shattered. Fuel lines, hydraulics. The crew feels it. They bail immediately, exploding out of hatches, expecting fire. The commander lands 3 feet from Ivan. Their eyes meet. The German is young, maybe 20. He has a pistol. He reaches for it. Ivan has already reloaded. He points the PTRD at the man, the 14-pound rifle aimed at a human body at 10 feet. The German freezes. His hand stops. Ivan motions with the rifle barrel. Go. In Russian, but the meaning is clear. The German runs. Ivan doesn't shoot him. This isn't about revenge. It's about tanks. The young commander disappears around a corner. Ivan hears him shouting warnings to his crew. 9 down, 2 remaining. The firefight is moving. Soviet infantry are pushing deeper into the village. The 2 remaining German tanks are retreating, backing toward the western edge of Ponyri, trying to establish a new defensive line. Ivan follows them, moves through the rubble, through the smoke, past dead soldiers from both sides, past a burning house where wounded men scream in Russian and German. He finds the 2 tanks positioned hull down behind a stone wall at the village edge. They're covering the retreat of German infantry. Both tanks are firing methodically into Soviet positions. Every shot kills. Every shot pins down attackers. These are the last 2 barriers preventing a complete Soviet counterattack breakthrough. Ivan is 70 yards behind them. No cover. Open ground. He has 2 shots. 2 targets. If he fires and misses either one, the remaining tank will turn and kill him before he can reload. He can't miss. 5 hours into the battle. The light is golden now. Late afternoon. The smoke makes everything hazy. Surreal. Ivan's uniform is torn. Blood-stained from Dmitri, from his own calf wound, from the close-quarters infiltration through the village. His face is black with powder residue and dirt. His hands are steady. He aims at the left tank, waits for it to fire so the sound covers his shot. It fires. He fires. Engine hit. Smoke. But no fire. Not yet. The crew feels the impact, but the tank's still operational. Engine damaged but running. They're trained. They know they've been hit from behind. The turret starts to traverse. Ivan has 8 seconds to reload. The turret traverse takes 12 seconds. He'll have a 4-second window. He loads. Chambers. Aims at the second tank. Fires. Perfect hit. Ammunition explosion. The turret blows off. The first tank's turret is halfway around now. 6 seconds. Ivan reloads. The fastest he's ever done it. 7 seconds. The turret completes its traverse. Ivan sees the cannon barrel pointing at him. Sees the gunner's sight. Sees the commander staring at him through binoculars. 1 second. He fires. Turret ring hit. The turret was traversing. The ring jams with the main gun pointed 15 degrees off target. Not aimed at Ivan. The gunner can't adjust. The gun won't move. The commander understands. His tank is crippled. Gun jammed. Engine failing. He makes the command decision. Evacuate. The crew bails. 5 men running west, toward German lines. Ivan lets them go. He's out of ammunition anyway. The 14 rounds he carried are gone. 7 fired from his original position. 7 more scavenged from other destroyed positions during his village infiltration. 10 down, 1 remaining. The last tank, the one with the damaged engine and the turret blown off, is still burning. But Ivan knows tank crews sometimes carry sidearms, sometimes stay with their vehicles. He approaches carefully. The tank is empty. The fire is spreading. He backs away. The battle for Ponyri continues around him, but the German assault has collapsed. Without tank support, Without the armored breakthrough they needed, the German infantry can't hold their positions. They're retreating now, falling back across the same wheat fields they crossed that morning. Soviet forces are pursuing. The defensive line held. Ivan Sereda stands in the village, surrounded by burning tanks and dead soldiers, holding an empty anti-tank rifle. He's been in combat for 5 hours and 17 minutes. He's destroyed 10 Panzer IV tanks. Actually, 11 if you count the rear guard tank he hit first. 11 tanks. By himself. With 21 rounds. With no loader after the first hour. With no support. With no communication. Just one man, one rifle. And the skills his father taught him, hunting in forests that now seem impossibly far away. A Soviet lieutenant finds him 20 minutes later. The lieutenant's leading a squad clearing the village. He sees Ivan, sees the blood and dirt, sees the PTRD, sees the 10 burning tanks in a trail leading back through the village and across the field. The lieutenant stops. Stares. Says, "Who are you?" Ivan says, "Gun Crew 8, Senior Lieutenant Volkov's battery." The lieutenant says, "Where's the rest of your crew?" Ivan says, "Dead." The lieutenant looks at the burning tanks, looks back at Ivan, says, "You did this?" Ivan doesn't answer. He's looking back across the field, toward the crater where Dmitri's body still lies. He says, "I need to get my loader." The lieutenant assigns 2 men to help Ivan. They cross the field together as the sun sets. They find Dmitri where Ivan left him. They carry him back carefully, respectfully. Ivan doesn't talk during the walk, doesn't talk that night, doesn't talk for 3 days. When Senior Lieutenant Volkov's replacement arrives and reads the battle reports, he doesn't believe them. 1 soldier, 11 tanks. Impossible. He interrogates Ivan for 2 hours. Ivan answers every question in flat, emotionless sentences, describes each shot, each position, each decision. The officer writes it all down, sends the report up the chain of command. The report reaches divisional headquarters, then army headquarters, then front headquarters. 3 weeks later, Ivan Pavlovich Sereda is summoned to meet Marshal Konstantin Rokossovsky, commander of the Central Front. Rokossovsky reads the report again in front of Ivan. Then he says, "Is this accurate?" Ivan says, "Yes, Comrade Marshal." Rokossovsky says, 11 tanks, by yourself." Ivan says, 10, sir. The 11th was the rear guard. I'm not sure that counts as part of the assault. Rokossovsky almost smiles. Almost, he says, it counts. Then he pins the medal to Ivan's uniform. Hero of the Soviet Union. Gold Star. The highest award. Ivan is 23 years old. But here's what's interesting. What the medal ceremony doesn't mention. What the propaganda newspapers don't write about. What the victory reports leave out. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, the German officer commanding those 11 tanks, survived. He was in the 9th tank, the one Ivan destroyed in the village alley. He was the commander who climbed out after Ivan shot through his tank's rear armor, who reached for his pistol, who Ivan let run away. Weber retreated with his surviving crew members across the field, made it back to German lines, was debriefed by his superior officers, and in his report he wrote something unusual. He wrote, "We were defeated by a single anti-tank rifle operator who employed tactics consistent with an experienced hunter rather than a soldier. His patience, fieldcraft, and target selection suggest specialized training beyond standard Red Army doctrine. He had multiple opportunities to kill me and my crew personally, but chose only to destroy vehicles. This suggests unusual discipline, or possibly a sporting code of conduct. Recommend revision of rear area security protocols." Weber's report was filed, forgotten in the chaos of Germany's collapsing Eastern Front. But in 1956, 11 years after the war ended, a historian researching the Battle of Kursk found it in captured German archives. The historian, working with Soviet records, connected Weber's report to Ivan Sereda's medal citation. They described the same engagement from opposite sides. The historian wrote to both men, asked if they'd be willing to meet, to discuss the battle, to provide a complete historical record. Ivan, by then 36 years old, working as a forestry manager in Bryansk, wrote back, said, no, said, I don't want to remember. I don't want to talk about it. I did my duty. That's finished. Friedrich Weber, 48 years old, working as a schoolteacher in Munich, also wrote back. He said yes. He said, I think about that battle often, about the soldier who spared my life. I'd like to thank him. But when the historian passed this message to Ivan, Ivan's response was the same. No. They never met. Weber died in 1974. Ivan died in 1991. Both men lived quiet lives after the war. Both men rarely spoke about their combat experiences. Both men, by all accounts, were kind to their families, good at their jobs, unremarkable in every way except for what they did on one afternoon in July 1943. Ivan's tactical approach that day influenced Soviet anti-tank doctrine going forward. The concept of mobile, concealed anti-tank rifles operating independently behind enemy armor became formalized. Training exercises incorporated dead ground infiltration techniques. Several successful anti-tank engagements in 1944 and 1945 used variants of Ivan's tactics. Commanders called it the Sereda method unofficially, though official records never used that term. The Germans, meanwhile, revised their armor advance protocols. After-action reports from Kursk led to new requirements for rear security, for clearing dead ground more thoroughly, for assuming that secure areas weren't secure until infantry physically occupied them. The number of German tanks lost to rear attacks decreased significantly in subsequent operations. Ivan's success created its own counter-tactics. The Battle of Kursk itself was the turning point on the Eastern Front. The German offensive failed. They lost 3,000 tanks total in the operation, 11 of them to Ivan Sereda, 0.037%, statistically insignificant. But those 11 tanks, destroyed at that specific location at that specific time, halted the advance on Ponary long enough for Soviet forces to consolidate, to counterattack, to push back. Butterfly effect. One man, one rifle, one afternoon. And history pivots. The PTRD-41 anti-tank rifle Ivan used that day is now in a museum in Moscow. The placard says, used by hero of the Soviet Union, Y.P. Sereda, to destroy 11 German tanks at Kursk, July 5, 1943. The rifle shows where. The barrel has been fired far more than the 21 rounds Ivan used. It was returned to service after Ivan's engagement. Used by other soldiers, survived the entire war. But for those 5 hours on that one day, it was Ivan's. His father's hunting lessons channeled through Soviet steel. There's a lesson here. Not about war. Not about courage or patriotism or any of the abstract concepts we use to make sense of violence. The lesson is simpler, more fundamental. It's about what one person can accomplish when they fully commit to a task. When they use every skill they've learned, when they refuse to accept that something is impossible simply because everyone says it is. Ivan Sereda wasn't supposed to stop 11 tanks. One anti-tank rifle isn't supposed to halt an armored assault. The mathematics don't work. The tactics don't work. But Ivan didn't care about what was supposed to happen. He cared about what needed to happen. And he made it happen. One shot at a time. One decision at a time. One moment of patience, followed by one moment of action, repeated until the task was complete, or he was dead. He completed the task. He survived. He went home. And for 48 years after that day, he cut trees in a forest and never talked about tanks. Because the work was done. The duty was fulfilled. And no amount of storytelling or medals or historical analysis could change what happened or bring back the 7 men from his battery who died in the first 5 minutes. Dmitri, who shook with excitement loading the PTRD that morning. The other crews in positions 1 through 7. All dead before the real fighting even started. Ivan remembered them, carried them, but didn't talk about them, because talking doesn't bring anyone back. It just makes the past hurt in the present. But we talk about it now because Ivan's gone, because the men who died are gone, because the men Ivan fought against are gone. And what remains is the lesson, the story, the example of what's possible when someone refuses to quit. When patience and skill and determination concentrate in one person at one moment and change what everyone thought was inevitable. 11 tanks, 1 rifle, 5 hours. That's the story. That's what happened. That's what one man did on one afternoon when he decided that dying would be easier than quitting, but quitting wasn't an option. So he did the impossible instead. And then he went home and cut down trees for 48 years and never mentioned it unless someone asked. And even then, barely. That's Ivan Pavlovich Sereda, 23 years old, gun crew 8, who played dead for 3 hours and then hunted tanks like they were wolves in his forest. And won.